Well, my name's Chris Shoemaker, Dr. Chris Allen Shoemaker from Ontario. I'm an experienced physician. I graduated from medical school in 1975, got my full license in 1977. So for 48 years, roughly, I've been a doctor, largely in the province of Ontario, a little bit in British Columbia as well. First career work was in emergency, and worked in emergency for 10, 12 years. But after those years in emergency, I moved to hospitalist work, where I was taking care of patients who were then admitted to the hospital, needed ongoing care in the hospital, but then were discharged out to the community after the hospitals to take in some care for the patient. So I enjoyed those two roles a great deal, both as an emerge doc and as a person responsible for patients in hospital. And then moved on even further when the 2020s came and we were in COVID, and they were looking for ex-emergency doctors to come in and do some work in the pre-hospital clinics. So I did that too in 2021 and 22. So I had recent experience with COVID, working in the front lines in the pre-hospital setting.
And now you've met Michael. Can you tell us about meeting Michael? What was your connection and why did you feel to go see him?
Oh, well, a mutual friend had introduced us and wanted me to be of some help to him. And so I just came as a friend to see him and met him with my good friend, Angel. And we had a lovely conversation beginning about 3 months ago. I didn't know about Michael till roughly 3 months ago, and it's now January of 2025. Well, I was very sad to hear about his situation and the timing of it and what his doctors had told him. It was a real tragedy that after 4 vaccinations with the COVID-19 vaxes, he suddenly became weak in his muscles, virtually paralyzed, now is paralyzed in his lower body totally, and his upper body quite a bit as well. And it's not gone well for him. You could ask me more details, I suppose, about the timings, but I certainly concur with his doctors. I'm not his doctor, I'm just his friend. I'm a friend of Michael. But his doctors were quite clear to him by this time. This all evolved from 2022 into 2024, that the transverse myelitis, as it's called, which is a paralyzing condition of his spinal cord, where the spinal cord is being eaten away by inflammatory circumstances that the doctors, quotes, can't explain. But his own doctors did say to him in a serious discussion they had with him once that, yes, clearly, the fact that he got symptoms within 34 hours of his 4th jab, and that this was the beginning of his paralysis of his entire body, and that there was no other cause, infectious or otherwise, for why he was having an inflammatory condition of his spine. They had to agree that it was the COVID vaxes that gave it to him, this terrible, terrible result.
None of his doctors are willing to come and talk to us on camera about that diagnosis. None of them will even put it in paper, in writing, on his charts or in his anything. Can you explain maybe why?
You'll have to ask them, other than the fact that they're perhaps behaving in a frightened manner. I don't know why they should be frightened. It's as obvious as the nose on my face that these 4 injections, and when he got, that's what things tend to happen. With the 3rd and the 4th jab is when a lot of people are having these neurologic conditions evolve. Michael's happened to be the one that involved him so terribly. But the fact that the doctors don't want to say what's really happened, that's on them. I'm simply a friend who knows that people do get neurologic conditions. There's another lady in Barrie who had a terrible circumstance with total paralysis from the hips down, all timed with the vaccine, all caused immunologically by the vaccine. I have no doubt about that, either for her or for Michael.
Did you have doubts about the vaccines earlier on, or did you start to just see things? Did you start to read literature, like research? How did you come to have your opinion of the dangers maybe of the mRNA vaccines?
Well, we've learned from Dr. Speaker and others, scientists around the world, Dr. Paul Alexander, Dr. Geert Vanden Bossche from Europe. Immunology, the biggest thing you have to know in immunology is, largely speaking, don't do anything. Don't put jabs into people that will wreck their immune system. That is what the mRNA vax is and does. It has wrecked the immune systems of everyone who's received it, even the people who don't think that they've had much of a consequence yet. I suppose the ones that got salt water in their arms and it just was the case, then they won't have any symptoms or any effect on their immune systems. But the people who got the real vax, the body attacks non-self. Any vaccine is by definition non-self. And especially this mRNA that waves a flag telling the whole body as it's inflaming your heart, this is spike that is not of you. What the body does is it attacks the tissues, the cells of the heart or of the kidney or of the brain stem, in Michael's case, and of C1 and C2 just below the brain stem. And Michael's own healthy immune system went after his previously absolutely normal spinal tissues, inflamed it, attacked it, and made the nerve cells dysfunctional. And that is what has robbed Michael Osh of his health, of his life in his mid-50s, now into his later 50s. He's lying in a bed, unable to move. Your observers, he's lying in a bed. The people watching this have seen Michael lying there, barely able to make his toes move, barely able to make his fingers move. And it's all caused by his own body attacking his own nerve cells due to a hyperimmune attack, his own body attacking his own tissues and turning his circumstances in such a changed way. Because this vax, with foreign factories manufacturing proteins that are literally not human, the proteins, the spike that are manufactured inside Michael's and any receivers of the vax are foreign to Michael, and his body said, that's foreign, I'm going to attack it. And the results of his attack was paralysis.
So did you have challenges being a physician during this time when there were such strong mandates and heavy messaging that, you sound like you would question the safe and effectiveness of the mRNA vaccines? Did you have any challenges being a physician during that time and having those?
Well, I have no problem questioning the dangers of the vax now. I mean, I've had 3 full years of information digging and understanding how dangerous they are. So I have no problems discussing it. It was my duty to speak out to the public so that they knew that they weren't getting a free ride with these jabs, that there certainly was risk. And sadly, there was no benefit as well. There was absolutely zero benefit from the vaxes. All they did was make you more likely to get COVID, more likely to get other diseases. And that's all that they did. The Cleveland Clinic study showed with 50,000 staff at the Cleveland hospital system that the sickest staff were the people who'd had 4 and 5 vaxes, like Michael. He had 4 vaxes. The people who had 0 to 1 jab only were the healthiest of the staff. And the healthiest of all were the staff that had 0 vaxes. And so the Cleveland Clinic study of late 2022 was the absolute proof. And so from the end of 22 onwards, I've been able to speak with comfort and with truth that the vaxes harm you in relation to COVID, making you more likely to get COVID, more likely to be in the ICU with COVID itself. And the secondary issues with neurologic things like Michael has, or turbo cancers like many people are getting, these things are the actual results of the jabs. No benefit against COVID, and crucial and terrible effects on multiple organ systems, from kidney to spinal cord to heart with myocarditis. These are the results of the COVID-19 vax program.
And so did you share those opinions publicly in 2022 and without any effects?
Only in 400 interviews. You're my 401st.
That's great. And so what did the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario think about your views on these vaccines?
They weren't too excited that doctors like myself, and there are many others, Dr. Hoff, Dr. Trozy in Canada, and many, many others, all have had licenses either interrupted or revoked, as have I had my license interrupted and revoked because I was willing to say 2 simple things. Ivermectin is a safe and useful medicine and should be allowed to save people's lives. And it's still not being used here in Canada as it should be. And I said one other thing. I said that the vaccines have multiple harms. People should be informed that they have a risk of multiple harms. Michael had received absolutely 0 concerns from his doctors or public health people that the jabs had side effects. And that, sadly, even though Pfizer itself knew in the first 8 months of it being on the market that there were horrible, horrible, horrible effects happening to people. We should have been telling to people from now on, we're going to suggest extreme caution because of effects like happened to Michael. But this extreme caution was not spoken of. And nobody liked it when a doctor was willing to stand up or sit in a chair like this and say that what we should have is extreme caution.
Yeah, I thought that's what science was, or the questioning, the trying to get clearer, better answers, discussion, debate, comparing and contrasting data. I guess all that went away. What do you think that means for our health system when we can't have these discussions? Instead of discussing and learning, they double down.
Well, I guess the overall script is being written at a high level in people in Brussels and Geneva and places like that who are telling every medical agency around the world to talk and speak in a certain way and to speak rote words coming out of their mouths. Safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. Oh, but by the way, we never did a single test on whether it was safe or effective. One example of that, of not being scientific, is that the original vaccines, the Pfizer-Moderna dyad of vaccines, they put material into Health Canada and they put material into the CDC in which it was being developed with a PCR method, very, very clean, not a chance of any DNA being in it. PCR method is there's no true DNA has a chance of going into the jab. In this instance, in the original product that was tested and that was deemed safe enough, there was no DNA in it. Unfortunately, for 7 billion people, there was tons of DNA in it. They used a second system. They used a second version of the vax because it would have taken them 50 years, 50. It would have taken them 50 years to produce vaccines in the same safe method that they presented to the various health agencies. Look how safe this is. Look how there's no DNA in it. You can count on this. But then the agencies and the governments themselves cooperated with the vaccine manufacturers and said, oh, you really can't put out this product without doing it in a different way? Well, we'll just accept the safety of this first version you gave us, but go ahead, manufacture the heck out of it where there will actually be tons and tons of DNA in it as well. And that's what's happened. Fully 1/3 of the weight of what goes into everyone's shoulder is DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, the hallmark of life. And because that's going into us and has the capability of going right into the nucleus of any number of our cells, it means that elements of DNA, as Dr. Speaker would have told you, elements of DNA are literally going into our spinal cord cells, the various cells that give us our immune toxicities or our immune health. The cells of various types are all being affected by the DNA, which is 1/3 of what goes into our shoulders with every jab. That means there's 13 trillion bits of DNA going in plasmids to everybody, out of the 40 trillion that are going in total. It's just the wrong product. It's a deleterious product. It was always a harmful product. And Michael is simply one unfortunate victim of this deleteriously made, falsified product. DNA, RNA. I don't call it an RNA shot anymore. It is DNA mixed with RNA. It always has been. And they lied to the public. They lied to themselves. They lied to me. They lied to Michael. That's what's happened.
What hope do we have in having like a competent, transparent medical system when something like this happens at such a large scale that hits everybody?
Well, we'll have to have hope taking modest little medications like nattokinase and bromelain and things like that. But in the end, they're not a real antidote. People with the real antidote should be deposed. They should be people from the WEF and places like that. Believe me, they know what the antidote is to this. Those high-level scientists who aren't telling us the truth and who are putting pressure on medical colleges to take licenses away from myself and Dr. Trozy and any number of doctors who have had our licenses revoked for telling the real science. This is dangerous crap being put into our bodies, causing cancers, to happen to us, causing immune damage to be happening to us, causing our hearts to inflame as our body attacks the spike that's in our hearts. So is there hope? Yeah. Get the people from the WEF, get them interviewed, get them deposed, get them to tell us the truth, get them to tell us what they've already given to themselves to protect themselves from shedding. There's elements that can come into their bodies through shedding out in society. They're not taking that risk. They know what the antidote is. They've already taken the antidote and they've told nobody about it. That's another thing that I am extremely certain about.
But what about, like, as a society, as Ontario, we look at Ontario, I mean, this is a disgrace. I'm not the scientific, like, how can we fix this, but like the deception, how do we, yeah. How do we move on from this? How do we fix this? Can it be fixed or no? Are we just at the College of Physicians and Surgeons just seems to have ultimate powers, nobody regulating them.
Well, I think
the agenda that comes from outside, it appears.
I think I'll address your question and in just basically a closing statement.
Okay.
And in closing, I would simply state that on behalf of Michael, on behalf of so many victims here in Canada, in the United States, in Australia, in Europe, in every nation on this earth, the vaccine injured are in huge numbers. And to be specific about Michael and how he was hurt neurologically, I'm going to hold up a simple little sheet of paper, which just to remind us all. These are the words, and I hope you can see them in this, and I'm stating with clarity that there's neurologic injury, subtle or huge. There's neurologic injury that happens either subtle or huge because of the body attacking itself, because that's what the mRNA product does. It waves a flag, inviting the body to attack itself. And that's why Michael, after his 4th jab, within 34 hours, began his process of paralysis that you have sadly seen him telling the story of. The RNA, DNA vax put into his body 4 times. He had 4 jabs. There was an orthopedic surgeon who had the same effect as Michael, orthopedic surgeon in the States, and within 2 days of his 2nd jab, he had lost complete function of his legs. He's in a wheelchair. He can't be an orthopedic surgeon anymore. When things like that are wrecking the lives of Canadians, Americans, and worldwide people, why are we giving these jabs anymore? They belong in the dustbin. Today is the 14th of January. They belong in 2025. These things belonged in the dustbin in May of 2021. There was already plenty of evidence in May of 2021 that these were deleterious jabs killing thousands of people around the world. They stopped the other COVID-type vaxes that were being tried in the late 2009s. They stopped them all when there were 5 deaths. 5 deaths. There were thousands of deaths in the first 2 months, proven to be from the vax. Michael's story is one of so many. Please stop the insanity. Stop the mRNA, DNA harm vaxes. They are harm vaxes.